Welcome to Bits, Bytes, and Solutions, the podcast where we break down complex IT decisions for business owners. I'm Julia Concolino, Director of Marketing for Verizon Technology, and today we're hearing from one of our clients about how they've adapted to change. Today on our show, we have John with Mega Service Solutions. Welcome to the show, John.
Thank you, Julia.
We'd love to hear a little bit more about Mega Service Solutions, what you guys do, and anything else you'd like to share.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just give you a little bit of history and then who we are and what we do here in Tampa and across the United States. So initially, our business was founded by my father in Chicago, Illinois. It was called Mega Maintenance Services. And during that time frame, he just got in from Colombia. He was working a side job for cleaning industry, right, where he was just doing nightly cleaning, and then he was also doing his day job. And he looked at both his paychecks and he goes, man, if I do a little bit more night cleaning, I could surpass my regular paychecks. So he ended up opening up his own business, right? Living that American dream. And then within about 15 years, in 2000, he was able to sell his business and retire.
Wow.
And he moved down here to Florida, Tampa Bay, Florida, and he opened up a nightclub. But then 2007, 2008 hit, and a little recession.
Mhm.
So he got kind of brought down. So he lost everything, went bankrupt. And so my brother and I came down here and we said, hey, what do you know how to do? And he said janitorial services. So we jumped into a geo tracker, mop bucket, all cleaning essential equipment, vacuums and everything. And we started doing cleaning services. We started up a new janitorial company, which is now called Mega Service Solutions. And during that time frame, we kind of left. He continued with the company. And my brother and I went to college. I used his business as a problem set. And then for my bachelor's and my master's while I was serving in the Army. So I went to West Point and then I served about 11 years in the Army after that.
Great, thank you. Thank you for your service too.
So after that, I was about to come out and he said, hey, I think I'm done with the main part of the business if you want to come down and take over. So I accepted his offer and I came down in 2020 and ever since kind of continued been growing the business. So we are a facility management business. We were 100% janitorial, but during COVID, we kind of did a little pivot to continue bring more revenue towards the business.
Awesome.
But thank you for having me here today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for joining me. So we wanted to talk a little bit about kind of how you adapted to change. I know that you kind of took over and things really were going in 2020. And obviously that's the middle of the pandemic. So wanted to talk a little bit about how your company may have pivoted during the pandemic. So really excited to chat about this topic.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the pandemic, so I still wasn't here, but my father had gotten an email about a course. It was a COVID course. And it was in December, January timeframe. So he sends our operations director, one of our lead sales business development guys over. And when he sent them over, they went and got certified down in Dallas, Texas. And they came back. And then it was the hype of the COVID pandemic. And during that time frame, we were the only ones here in Florida that were certified.
Wow.
So some of the big things during that time frame, we were selling a lot of PPE, which was not something we did normally.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were doing a lot of COVID cleaning, which is when I say COVID cleaning, it was a lot of high touch points. So like, people touch doorknobs, people touch things that people are constantly touching. We were continuously making sure we're hitting those points with sanitizers so that people wouldn't be transferring over this, the COVID, right? That being said, when I took over, I saw the books and I was like, okay, well, COVID's not going to be here forever. So how am I supposed to kind of move this business or pivot in a way where we're not looking like we're losing money, right? Because obviously you're not going to continue to sell the same amount of PPE. And secondly, COVID's not going to be here. So we were already in facilities. People already trusted us with their facility and their keys at night. So why not continue with that, right? They don't want to worry about fixing floors. They don't want to be replacing floors, painting, things like that. So we started maintenance programs and we started full facility services. And that's kind of how we pivoted. And today our organization is 70% janitorial service and then 30% more of that facility maintenance space.
Okay, awesome. Very cool. And aside from obviously the pandemic itself, did you face any specific challenges or did your industry face any challenges during the pandemic? Do you think you got more business, less business? Kind of how did that, I guess, impact you guys?
So I would say we were well positioned And when I say that is there's a lot of organizations that were in the same space that got hit really hard. And those organizations were the ones that just focus on complete office space. They did nothing
Mm-hmm.
else. They didn't have a diverse portfolio. So because of that, obviously offices were closing, and here your entire business is based off of that office space. They started doing work from home. So
Mm-hmm.
they lost so much revenue. They had to either sell off their accounts, or they had to just file Chapter 11 with their
Wow.
organization. So that was a huge thing in our industry.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you guys kind of were ahead of the ball,
Mhm.
and you knew what you were doing before everything.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Now, I know you said that you guys had this training that you had gone through. Did you introduce any other services or products in response to the pandemic aside from offering PPE?
Yeah, so we were actually inside of we've been in this industry for a while. My father has a lot of connections when he was there, when he was actually running the business, because he's been in it for over 40 years. So he had connections with vendors that exclusively sold to him this chemical called vital oxide. It was the only EPA certified chemical that was able to obviously fight against COVID,
Yeah.
and would be able to sanitize anything. You'd be able to spray it against anything. You could spray it on a piece of meat or any food or anything like that, and it wouldn't be harmful to anybody, but it also disinfect and make sure the area was sanitized for personnel.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And how did your operational processes change, when it came to managing your employees as well as customer safety?
So during that time frame, I don't know if you remember, they had the quarantine time where
Yes.
everybody had
Yeah.
to be quarantined, or if you were considered an essential worker, you'd have to have a permit. So all my team had to have permits, right? And we made sure that they were only going from home to their service place and back home, or obviously they go shopping to essential locations. But that space was very important. We provided them all with PPE, anywhere from gloves, masks, anything they needed. When they were doing these COVID cleans, we'd actually have them in bunny suits, and bunny suits is like the full mop suit that you see in like uh, in those what is it called, NCIS or anything like that,
Right, right.
right? In those
You can like
movies, but
imagine them going
they,
into, toxic waste kind of situation.
absolutely. So when they go in there, and we knew there was a big like spread of COVID throughout the facility, we definitely bring them in there with safety in those protocols, and they spray down the entire facility. Come out sweating because the bunny suits are hot. And
Mhm.
obviously,
And
Florida's
you're in
not a cold
Florida.
climate. But yeah, it was good. That was a lot of the way we kept them safe. And our supervisors, we have night supervisors that go out, so we try to limit the interaction between supervisors and the employees. It's just so one less touch point is good for us and safer for the employees.
Great. Now, kind of thinking again broadly, how did the scope of your work change during the pandemic? I know obviously your services, you said it was like a 70-30 breakdown. Did that change at all during the pandemic, or kind of what changes did you see?
No, the 70-30 kind of changed afterwards. It's kind of like I
Okay.
kind of visionary is like 6 months after the COVID pandemic, I started building this actual other branch. But the scope of work was the thing that changed the most, right? So we have in our contracts, we have an agreed scope of work with our clients. But during this time frame, we understood, hey, we might not have to high dust every week. We probably focus on these high touch points because people are touching all these doorknobs. People
Mhm.
are right. Let us focus on those areas more now, right? And then later on, we'll make sure to hit those areas that are in our contract. And we were very transparent with our clients on what we were doing, what we were focusing on.
Okay, that makes sense. Awesome. Now, did you form any new partnerships or collaborations with any, different facilities or just organizations in the Tampa area as a result of this? I guess, how did you get your PPEs? Was it through a certain organization? Did you form a partnership there? Or was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
Yeah, so my brother actually was part of the PPE process. He had flown to China prior to, and was able to get a vendor out there that he met and he knew was certified under US. They certified all their PPE through
Wow.
US,
Yeah.
and we already had a partnership with them. So when this happened, we were getting containers full of PPE sent to us directly, and we were on the priority list. So that was one of the biggest things we had. And then also during COVID, a lot of people either left or didn't want to work because they were receiving these checks from the government, right? So they
Mm,
were kind of staying at home, and just to be honest,
yeah.
right? So we have a foundational base of subcontractors and employees that are very loyal to us. A lot of these employees that like we see potential in leadership, that we say, hey, maybe you're not a leader within our organization, but you're a leader that can own your own business. We actually set up their business and help them become subcontractors and help them
Mm-hmm.
run their own business. So you could see like we've gotten subcontractors that have started with us with maybe making $1,000 a month to this past year. One of them that I started with started making that $1,000 a month is now I signed his 1099 at 1.5 million for the past year in
Wow.
2023. But you could see the growth, right? And
Yeah.
how loyal they become once you start growing their businesses and apply that process. You have a loyal base of workers for you. So I started partnering with other cleaning companies
Okay.
that did not have that labor, right? They were trying to find a labor force. They couldn't grow their businesses because they didn't have the labor force to do it. They were stopped accepting jobs. So I sat down with two of my big partners, True Clean and Elite Exterior Restoration, and both of them we were able to grow our businesses together.
Very
Based off
cool.
of that.
Now, what do you think are the biggest keys to that success that you've had? Just building that rapport, or, I guess, is it the way that you treat your employees in comparison?
Yeah, I think it's how we treat our employees and just building that trust, right?
Hmm.
Um, these are different individuals that are trusting you, right? Are trusting your advice and saying,
Right.
"Hey, you can go out on your own and do this, and you can make more money for yourself, and we can help you do that." They've been in the business, they've seen how we work with them, and then we help them along the process. And when they have
Hmm.
a hard time, or there's times that we see there's an opportunity for growth, we'll bring them in and kind of coach them, right? Because when you're running a $500,000 business or $1 million business, every single one of those phases becomes different, right?
Hmm.
And sometimes they don't understand that. So we come in, we bring them in, we coach them, right? We do regular reviews with them so they could see where there's an opportunity for them to continue to grow, or hey, how can we help you in this space that we see some issues, constant issues, right? This is how we fix it in our business. How can we help you fix it in yours? So it's just that constant partnership. If you just leave them out to dry, that's when they become less loyal, and I think that success becomes a little less with that.
Well, I can definitely see why you're so successful, and that's honestly wonderful. It's always nice to hear about an organization who cares about their employees. That's something that we at FISM really care about as well. You don't want your employees wanting to leave. You want them to talk about it word of mouth, and then their friends come work for you too.
No, that's how it becomes. They start doing it's like an internal referral program. They're like, oh my goodness, this has just helped me out. You should come try it out.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's been great. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how did communication change with you, your staff, and your customers during this time? Do you think you noticed a change in that?
No, I think we've always had an open line communication, especially the way that we work and the way we're established. We have account managers that are constantly communicating to our clients to make sure that anything that they need is heard, right, and
Mhm.
responded to. So we already had that constant communication. And then whenever we were going to kick out something, like we said, we were going to change the scope of work a little bit, we'd send that information out to the client, and then we'd also follow up with a phone call, or if they prefer text message, we'd go text message. But we've always had that. So right now we've been implementing different technologies in our systems to be able to do that more autonomously and automate things in a certain pattern.
Okay, great. And can you give me a little bit of a breakdown of the people that are on your team as far as, these are the people who are contractors versus these are my internal team who, do these certain tasks, and just kind
Yes.
of explain that structure to me.
So I could tell you kind of like I split everything into divisions.
Okay.
And so we have our accounting division. So we have our internal bookkeeper, controller, but we also externally work with Warren Averett as our accounting team.
Okay.
So they assist us there. We have our account management team, our partner success team. And I have a senior partner success manager that's been with me since the beginning. So he knows my vision, and he's a great supporter of it, and that's how he trains his team. And this is the team that they actually they talk to the clients, right, face problems head on, and they also talk to the subcontractor to let them know the issues, right. They kind of bring that conversation with the client over to our subcontractors. We have our operations team. So our operations team starts with a director, and then we have regular operations people that take care of our recurring work and then our
Mhm.
one-time work. And then we have night supervisors that go and inspect accounts at night and also train new accounts. If a
Okay.
new subcontractor comes in, they go and train them, show them the scope of work, right? They set up all their equipment, And then that's how we're kind of set up in that aspect. But as far as subcontractor wise, we're like I would say anywhere from 80 to 20%, 80% subcontractors, 20% internal employees. And the reason we have that split is because there's some contracts, especially government contracts, that require internal employees to be working on site.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate
Yeah.
it. Now, I'd love to hear a little bit more about, the account success manager that you mentioned. Kind of what's their role, and is it purely, just hey, how did everything go, or is it more personal where they're checking in constantly, visiting client sites, things like that?
No, it's definitely personal. So I'd say their main focus is to build that relationship with the client. Um, in our industry, as you continue to grow and you continue to expand, you see these other companies, you kind of see an opportunity there. And I guess this is one of our largest differentiators, that customer service aspect, because now they have somebody that they can contact. We don't make them wait 48 to 72 hours like a trouble ticket, right? It's automatically they have a response from that account manager. They go
Okay.
and visit either 2 to 3 times a month, excuse me, and they build that relationship. They conduct inspections. They understand the client. I think that's one of the most important things in this business and how we differentiate ourselves, that customer service aspect. Because a lot of people just do the sale and
Mhm.
then they never see the client again. And
Right.
I think that's kind of a failure in our industry right now. I know the overhead is a little bit more, but I believe that our clients deserve that, right? They deserve that account management. And I'll have account managers where there's a complaint and they're 15 minutes away. It could be a trash can that was missed. They'll go and they have dress shirts, dress pants, and they go out to the client and they will go change that trash can.
That's great. Yeah. And thank you for explaining that. It sounds like, obviously that is also a huge attribution, for your company's success, and just for, I guess, how personable your organization is as a whole.
No,
A lot of
absolutely.
times, you just think like you get the job done, move on. But it seems like, you guys really, you almost linger, you
Right.
purposely linger with the clients because you
Yeah,
want them to keep coming back.
absolutely. Now we've had clients, and I'll tell you, we've had clients where our price point, I wouldn't say like our price point is one of the lowest. I'd say we're probably moderate.
Okay.
But we've had clients leave us because they've gotten lower quotes, which is fine. But then we've had tons of clients come back
Mm.
because then they understand,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, the
what that
breakdown.
means, right? They're like, yeah, they didn't respond for a week and a half. Or they said, we'll get
Right.
it the next service instead of doing like 2 hour response time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And,
Yeah,
our company, obviously, we work with you guys as an IT support team.
right.
We understand the importance of getting back on issues very quickly as well. If someone emails you or calls you about an issue, they want that to be solved as soon as possible. They don't
No,
want to, oh, I'll get to it when I get to it, and
I
that's
know, yeah.
just
And
so
then
important in this
well, I
industry.
know
It's
our
so fast paced too.
yeah, and I know our partnership has grown because of that. It's just because we've implemented so much technology into our systems. It's been very important to make sure that you guys understand how our technology works, and
Yeah.
then you guys can integrate that and understand everything that we need to support on.
Absolutely. I think it's so important for organizations to have partnerships, whether it be something like this or, something like the PPEs, you never know who can help you at what time and how you can then help them as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I like local too, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, I would love to hear if you have any examples or stories of, any success stories from, just your time as CEO of Mega Service Solutions.
Success stories. As in, I would just say like I started with um 3 people in my headquarters, and now I'm getting closer to 25 of those people. We've outgrown our building, so right now we're looking for a new building,
Wow,
and
that's
how we
great.
continue to expand. We've moved into different verticals. We understand our clients and we understand their needs, right? We hear them. So when we hear them, we come back and we strategize. I definitely war room type deal. I bring everybody in, all my directors, and we sit down and say, "Hey, this is the problem." Put it on a whiteboard, and we just start kind of attacking it. I think that's been one of our biggest success points. So being able to bring those people into the room and continue to grow this business is truly where the success lies, and also the networking. I would say the networking in Tampa is huge.
Hmm.
It is one of the most successful stories, right? We've joined organizations like Leadership Tampa Bay, Leadership Pasco. We've been trying to be more active in the community, right? Philanthropic work across the community as well. Doing those things has been able not only to obviously support the community,
Mhm.
has also been able to put our name out there and actually set up our brand with what we actually expect people to look at us as.
Definitely. Yeah, we definitely understand the importance of that as well. We work with a ton of nonprofits, and just the opportunity to support them obviously is really important to us, but getting your name out there is so vastly important in a market like this.
Right. It's critical.
Just name recognition, and then again getting referrals or anything like that makes a huge difference on an organization's success.
No, absolutely. I am completely on board with that. And when my team comes up to me about some opportunity or anything within the community, we always sit down and evaluate it and see how we can help.
Awesome. Well, do you have any final thoughts or anything else that you wanted to discuss on today's episode?
No, I appreciate you having me on here and just discussing with me and talking about the business and just our growth and our just being very transparent with you. It's been very thankful for you guys having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a pleasure to have you, and we look forward to maybe another episode with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All
Appreciate that.
right. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us for today's episode of Bits, Bytes, and Solutions. If you have questions about how Phison can work with your business, please reach out to the contact information in our bio. And please be sure to subscribe to our podcast if you enjoyed this episode. See you next time.